drops, and I want to talk about The Last of Us. I know. I did a stream. I mentioned Last of Us. We did talk about Last of Us, even though I don't think the other two guys watched any of it. I was going to maybe clip that out and make it part of a Last of Us sort of review, and I thought, let me just stick to the thing. Let's just get this out there real quick. It's going to be short. This is a very weird filler episode where we're supposed to have some backstory on Ellie, and I'll get to why I don't think any of that really worked. But I will say this about the show. They continue to do a lot of really good stuff with world building. You really do feel like you're in an apocalyptic world of what things could look like. You do get some element and conversation about why certain stores would be empty versus others, those kinds of things. I think all of that was actually done pretty well. The events of the last episode where they had found the fort, they still were going to travel to Colorado. Joel gets in a scuffle with what we're going to call raiders, and he gets stabbed. So he's bleeding out as he falls off a horse. And of course, here we are dealing with, Ellie figuring out a way to try to, save Joel or not. And there's like a flashback. And most of the episode is a flashback to Ellie. She's in a gym dealing with this bully, and she has this friend named Riley, right? That's it. There's a quick little power struggle with, the captain so-and-so who's trying to convince her, you can basically be a grunt or you can be an officer. You got to decide. We see leadership in you. I didn't care because I just know who Ellie is or what you're showing me without this little, I don't care about this guy's opinion, but that's okay. This is the tough girl act of, F them, I'll F them, whatever type stuff that they do with Riley. And they're just foul-mouthed little teen girls who are going to go off on their own because it's incredibly dangerous to do all these things, but that's what they do. And they have a little bit of conflict over their ideas of joining the Fireflies versus Fedra. Is it better to be the rebel, the freedom fighter terrorist, or is it better to go with like the government infrastructure sort of planned? And reality is there's no good answer to that question. It's about who the leaders are, because you're going to have good, bad leaders on all sides. And it's about who cares about freedom and human rights the most, and you don't know what you're going to get. So you have massive amounts of scenes of just different things that are happening where Riley's leading them along, and it's all about lesbian chemistry. It's all about them having an attraction to each other, but it's a lot of that unspoken stuff and awkwardness, especially for teens. But it's clearly, alphabet-driven stuff here, as we're going to find that Riley's been hanging out in this mall. So they're going to have these bonding, sweet date moments of going to an arcade and play Mortal Kombat. They're going to take, photo booth pictures. They barely know how to do it, but they do. They're going to have moments where they're just hanging out with Halloween masks and dancing and acting crazy and that kind of stuff. So they find the pun book. So there's the pun book, where the pun book comes from. But they don't really leave some of that philosophy and that conflict of Fireflies versus Fedra behind. They see the pipe bombs are an issue. Ellie starts to fight, going to storm off. Those kinds of things. Riley's talking about how the Fedra is going to ship her off. She's going to, last night in Boston kind of stuff. And it's all about getting to the kiss, right? And there's tension, no kiss. Then suddenly there is a kiss. And then, of course, an infected person attacks, and they both get bit. Everybody gets bit, right? Ellie gets bit on that spot that she's shown several times on her arm, and Riley gets bit fighting the guy off, so she's got a bite on her hand. And it's all about, we only have one moment. We get to relish our one moment. No matter how long we have, we've got our one moment. You can take the easy way out, or you just keep going, right? So somehow this teen girl who talks with profanity about every other word, who has no real plan, who has no sense of being careful, she's completely careless, is suddenly wanting to be all deep and grounded in emotions and relationshipy stuff. It's kind of absurd. And of course, we're going to jump back to Joel and see Ellie racing around trying to find a needle and thread so she can save Joel. And you're just like, okay, this is why none of this works, because it has no bearing on what actually is happening. None of the Riley backstory tells us anything about Ellie that changes her reaction to Joel. Nothing. So she would want to save Joel because she's been bonding to Joel as a surrogate dad who's taken care of her. He's been the only one protecting her this whole time. If it wasn't for him, she wouldn't be alive, but she's also saved him a few times, right? And it has been kind of absurd if that's the case, but at the most part, it's really been fine. It's been a fine little journey, right? And sure, she doesn't want to lose someone that she cares about again, but that would be the case no matter whatever happened. There was nothing in the Riley backstory other than just telling us and the audience, if you didn't know, she's got a little of lesbian tendencies, and this is the story. It's like, okay, I don't know why any of that matters. Storm Reed was fine. I mean, I'm not trying to bag on this girl. She was in what? The Invisible Man. She was in oh, come on. Idris Elba, daughter in Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad. So she's been in a couple things, but she was just okay. She was just playing like angry little teen girl, like know-it-all attitude, whatever. She brings out the worst of Ellie because that's like the worst part of Ellie's personality. So I don't care for any of that, teen girl boss nonsense. I don't find any of that interesting. I find all of it, it's got to be honest, none of it's believable, but these are the people that would survive the apocalypse. These are people that would get killed off. Like, there's just no way they're going to be the ones that would survive. Like I said, it doesn't really do anything with the father-daughter dynamic with Joel either. So again, another episode where we feel like the writers want to pat themselves on the back. They have virtue signaled to the Alphabet community. The Alphabet community think it's great because they can see themselves in it. I look at it as a gimmick. It's a cheap ploy to put all this agenda stuff in it. I don't know if this is in the game. I'm assuming it's in the game because pretty radical if it's not in the game because Ellie's the main character. So I'm not opposed to the fact that it is. I don't care that she's gay. I just don't think it really moved the story along any well. It would have been easier for me to have that dynamic and then try to figure out a way to intertwine that with something that would matter today, something that matters in the current story arc. And that's what's lacking. It's not the fact that it exists, it's the fact that it's not tied together. I don't care enough. It's the extra words in a book that they're just the filler. They're just taking up pages. It's backstory and it's interesting. This is the kind of stuff an author or a writer would write about the character that happened to them that doesn't make the final cut of the script because it doesn't matter to the current story arc. And sadly, with today's streaming and TV, they want, I know it's 7 episodes or 8 episodes. Just they keep adding more episodes for fluff reasons because they don't want to go to a full season. They don't want to do 20-something episodes like normal TV used to be because they can't write that many decent episodes. So they write these, 6 to 8 episode movies. That's all this is one big movie. It's not actually TV. Because if you want to watch good TV, go over to Paramount and watch the stuff that Taylor Sheridan's making because Tulsa King and Mayors of Kingstown are head and shoulders above this show. So that's my general take on it. You guys may think I'm crazy. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't watch reviews until I do my review. So I don't think I'm completely off base, but it won't be the first or the last time that I am. You guys will tell me, I'm sure. I am Pops. Thanks so much for watching.
My favorite quality about Pops is that he's incredibly honest. At least you always know where you stand with Pops. So I like that about him. He's not passive aggressive. He's not sneaky that way. He'll give it to you straight down both barrels.
Pops! Gotta have my Pops!
Yeah. Right?